so you're not in suspense because you're all going to know anyway once I start speaking. So, this black belt goes to Christian Knight. Speech prepared. Basically, obviously Christian's been training here over 10 years now. I always think of like low single legs, his over-under passing that he's been doing for years as well, his deep half guard, and it all kind of connects together, so he's got a super well-rounded game. He competed a lot as well, undefeated on Grapplefest, got 2 submissions on Grapplefest as well. I think he started out from the self-defense perspective. And I remember, even the other day he said, I'd always say, oh, you can add this to your game, you can add this triangle to your game. And then Christian would be like fuming, thinking, this isn't a game, this is like life or death. Why does Steve keep saying it's a game? You don't just hold me down, so I'll have to start changing my vocabulary a little bit when I'm doing that. So, well-deserved black belt, and then I'll hand it over to Christian for some for his well-prepared speech.
Thanks everyone, thanks for being here. So I told that to Steve, so started training in Kung Fu for years and then was training both for a while. I remember, so I did a couple of fundamentals classes and then I wanted to know how good these jiu-jitsu guys were, so I spent ages badgering Steve to let me jump straight into the advanced sparring class after 2 fundamental sessions with my YouTube education. I've been teaching myself jiu-jitsu for YouTube for 3 years, I should say, by this stage, so it wasn't completely new. Jumped straight into sparring first night. I got to roll with white belt Emil, and then also Adam Ashton as well. And so rolling with Adam Ashton is what got me hooked. It's shame he's not here. So I remember I was rolling him right there, and he triangled me 3 times on butterfly guard. I didn't know what was going on, flipping me upside down, landing in triangles. And so from then on I was just so impressed and hooked. And so been training ever since. And then when I'm not here training, I'm generally watching jiu-jitsu techniques on YouTube. And so spend a lot of time doing that. I suppose while I'm here, just to share with you 2 things I think that really helped me over the years. First, it's a great honour to get the belt, but don't be obsessed with it. Even if there's no belts, I'll be training just as much, sparring just as often. So don't get too obsessed with it. Enjoy the process of it and learning. And so constantly looking at techniques. It helps if you get so obsessive that people start to wonder whether or not you're autistic. So that helps as well. So constantly looking at techniques and trainings. And when I say enjoy the process, not sort of passively, not just sort of hanging around or chatting, working on things and asking questions and pushing it hard and taking risks and putting yourself in bad places. If someone's got a dangerous close guard, as a blue belt, Jake Corrigan's still got the best close guard I've ever seen really, or ever experienced. And so I'd go to his close guard over and over again, knowing I'd get triangled over and over again, because I wanted to fight him where he was strong. Of course, it would be a terrible idea in a competition, but that's useful. It's find where people are strong and learn from them, and keep reassessing your techniques. And the other thing, as I said, I was a Kung Fu man originally, and still am a bit at heart. You're going to see my tiger claw technique, I'll show you later. One of the best things I ever learned from my Kung Fu instructor was he had a saying that a correction is a gift. And so if somebody corrects your technique, don't get arsy about it, don't be like, well no, it's doing it right. it could be a gift, it could be useful. But also in Jiu-Jitsu is a great martial art because the gifts are coming all the time, the corrections are coming all the time. Every time you get your guard pass, every time you get submitted, that's an opportunity to learn and improve. And so something that I've always done and I would recommend doing is whenever everybody catches you in a submission, congratulate them on it. They've done you a favour, they've shown you where your technique was weak and where you can improve. And so if anybody, and lots of you have caught me in submissions, and so every time I get caught in a submission, I congratulate someone because they're helping to improve. And so I find that mindset is really helpful. But there we go. But yeah, thanks for being here, everyone. Cheers.
Okay, there's one more. So, the next one goes to Tomo.
Speech about our falling for Christians, we want to get some sparring together.
Tomo, that belt is Max, don't take a picture of that.
This was my worst effort at times.
You're getting better the more you did.
We're a bit lower as well.
That's good. Okay. Okay. For those of you who don't know, Tomo first started, he was only doing private lessons at the very start. So he'd always come to my garage, try and kill me for an hour, and then I kept saying to him, "You've got to go to class because there's more sparring partners and you're going to learn more." Not that my private lessons are bad, but there's more people to train with. So it took him, I don't know, was it 6 months or so?
It was about a year.
It was about a year, and then finally, as soon as I convinced him to go to class, then everything that we'd been working, then his game suddenly starts to accelerate. And then he started to do really good. So obviously he's competed at, every belt level as well. Whenever we go to the Europeans, Tom was always with us competing, got loads of gold medals in the UK as well at local comps. Probably the funniest one, it's a shame Chu's not here, but one of the funniest stories was Tomo not listening to me, which a lot of people know. He's like, "Why are you telling us about that belt there?" There was a guy, and he was absolutely huge. He must have been 150 kilos in a unit. This was in Madrid?
He's in
Madrid. And I said to Tom, I said, and he goes, "Any advice?" And I just said, "Whatever you do, don't triangle the guy." So then Tomo goes out, gets foot on hip, and the guy's like this. So Tomo was like, "Oh, the triangle's there." So Tomo triangles him, and obviously the guy hips in, and he's a big unit, and the guy stat passes him. And then I just remember when Tomo walked off the mat, he just didn't want to look at me. Piece of advice I told him, he was like, "Oh no." Ever since that day though, I think he's been listening to me a lot more. Obviously he studied the art loads like everyone else. And his game's improved massively. There's been a few hiccups along the way with a few injuries and stuff, but with everyone, but I don't think anyone gets to a black belt without those hiccups, and then going through that, and persistence is like one of the keys, and Tom will certainly show that. So, well deserved back black belt.
Well, I don't know if I can top Christian's speech. My voice is going as well, to be honest with you. Christian, you've totally done my legs there by doing. I guess one of the things I wanted to sort of mention, going off from what Steve was saying there, was about persistence really. Every person who makes it to black belt, every person who gets any belt is someone who hasn't quit before that, and as Steve mentioned, I've had some pretty nasty injuries. I won't go into detail of what all of them are. every time they've happened to me, I've always used that as a learning opportunity. So I'll focus on things that I can do, not the things I can't do. So everybody's got different body types, they've got different physical attributes, they've got different mindsets. Everyone will have things that are unique to them, things that they can use to make themselves better. Whatever that is, focus on it. Do the things that you can do. Don't worry about the things you can't do, because some of that might come in time, it might never change, but it shouldn't affect you over the time. Just don't quit, just keep going. I think everyone gets to a point where in their jiu-jitsu life they realise this is that point for me where I'm not going to quit. And I realised it's part of me. With Steve, it was actually in Steve's garage. Even at that point, I knew that wasn't going to change. I knew that I was going to carry on doing it until I can. And even now at this point, you know, it's just going to continue. It's part of my life. It's part of my identity, as I'm sure it is for all these guys. Pretty much everyone in this room, even guys who just started out, you probably feel that urge to carry on going. You've got pursuit towards mastery that you'll never get to. However much you train, however much you try, you'll never be a complete master in it. There's always something else to learn. You've got such a great social side of it. There's great people wherever you go on competitions. When you go to gyms, you always find people with open arms who are ready to welcome you, to show you things, to take you on that journey. And I think Jiu-Jitsu is probably one of the most supportive martial arts. It's really progressive, really inclusive, and it's really good to see everybody sort of working on that pursuit towards mastery together. Even if you don't compete, I mean, competitions are something that's a big part of my identity as well, and part of the reason I get injured is because I push myself too hard, and I have had a bit of a wake-up call recently with a really good injury, but just I'm not going to go off that path. I'm going to keep pushing myself, and anyone who wants to compete or doesn't want to compete, they're all on the same journey, but it's just a bit different from everybody. So just the biggest takeaway for me is just stick with it. The other thing I want to mention as well is around the room right now, there's quite a few coaches that have come down. So we've got Jamie here from Hybrid, we've got James here from Roundhouse, we've got Steve Boyce here as well. Again, that sort of is testimony to the inclusive nature that we've got in Jiu-Jitsu. You know, we've got Carl who's opened his own gym now. We've got lots of people who are teaching in other places. You know, it's the gift that keeps on giving, really. You know, all that knowledge that we've built up, and we get to share that out to other people and help other people on those journeys. So yeah, I think it's just nice to see people from all different other places in our community working together to improve themselves. Thanks very much everyone for training.
What I'll do for the Tomo and Christian, we'll just do some photos here. Everyone else will go into some sparring now. I can see loads of you dying to get on the mats and actually train.
Can we do the photo first?
Oh yes, actually we'll do a group photo first now, and then I promise after that we'll get into some rowing. Yeah.